The wind is the first thing you notice. It creeps under the thatched roof and curls around your neck like a cold finger. A low groan escapes your lips, not from pain exactly, but from that aching stiffness that comes after sleeping too long on uneven straw. You blink into the gloom, disoriented. Where are you? The walls are wattle and daub, smeared with soot and age. A single slit of light pushes through a crack in the wooden shutter. Dust dances in the beam like little spirits, silent and patient. The air smells of wood smoke, damp wool, and something slightly sour, like old broth. You hear the chickens clucking just outside the door, and the rhythmic hacking cough of someone you cannot yet see. You're not in your bed. You're not in your century. You've woken up in the spring of 1348, and something is terribly wrong. The world outside is just beginning to stir. A cart creaks along the village track. A dog barks once sharply, then falls silent. Somewhere far off, a church bell tolls, not the joyful peal of a feast day, but something slower, more deliberate, like it's warning rather than calling. Your limbs are stiff. You try to sit up, but your back protests. The straw mattress beneath you is matted and damp, its contents spilling out through a torn seam. It smells faintly of mildew and something worserine perhaps. A broken wooden bucket in the corner confirms your suspicion. You look down at your hand's dirt under the nail's rough skin, a splinter embedded near the base of your thumb. There's a voice outside. Agnes, you risen yet? We've to fetch water for the queue. You don't respond. You don't know who Agnes is. You don't know who you are meant to be. A girl 12, maybe 13, opens the crooked door and squints in at you. Her eyes are wide and her mouth slightly agape, as if she's startled to see you breathing. Her clothes are patched and grimy, and her hair is tied back with a piece of twine. She blinks, then tosses a small bundle of cloth onto the floor near your feet. Get dressed then. If the plague don't get you, Ma will. She disappears again, leaving the door ajar. Cold air rushes in. You rise slowly. The shift you slept in is coarse linen, stained and threadbare. You can feel every seam rub against your skin. The bundle contains a rough woolen tunic, a pair of hose, and a leather girdle so stiff it could slice bread. You dress as best you can. There's no mirror, just a tin basin with last night's water now, a grey puddle with floating bits of something. You step outside, and immediately the world changes. The light is different, greyer, softer, as though the sun itself is morning. The village is small. A dozen or so huts line the track, their roofs hunched like old shoulders. Smoke curls from only a few of them. The others sit quiet, lifeless. A pair of boys chase a chicken near a dung heap. One has no shoes. The other wears a sack tied with string. An old woman leans against a post, muttering to herself and staring into the dirt. Her hands tremble. There's a strange stillness to it all. A kind of hush, as though the birds, the trees, even the wind know what's coming. You follow the girl, your supposed sister-cousin, down the path to a village well. A small line has already formed women in cloaks, some with infants strapped to their backs. Everyone looks tired, pale. The air is full of that dry, cracked cough that seems to echo between bodies. You glance at a boy leaning against the well's edge. His cheeks are sunken. His skin has the color of wet parchment. When he lifts his head, his eyes are yellow around the edges. Your companion nudges you with her elbow. "Don't stare," she mutters. "He lost his da last week. It's spreading now." You want to ask what's spreading, but you already know. The Black Death. The girl hands you a wooden bucket. The rope groans as you lower it. When it splashes into the murky depths, you half expect something to grab it from below. But there's nothing, just water, cool and brownish. By the time you return to the hut, a thin plume of smoke is rising from one of the other cottages. Not from the chimney, from the roof. Someone's burning it down. Your young guide looks at it, expression blank. She sighs. They always do after someone dies inside. Stops the rot, so they say. Inside your hut, a woman with grey at her temples is ladling out some kind of porridge. She's gaunt, her shoulders narrow beneath her shawl, but her hands are strong. She nods to you and pushes a wooden bowl into your hands. You sit, and for the first time since waking, you feel a kind of weight settle on your chest. This is real. This isn't a nightmare or a history book. This is 1348. You're living in a village on the edge of something unspeakable. The plague has already landed in the south, so you overhear. It came from the sea with rats and ships and traders who never made it past the docks. And it's moving north. You eat in silence. The porridge is gritty and bitter but warm. You look around. The girl chews absently. The older woman, your mother, watches the fire. You're not sure how long you'll last here, but for now you're alive. And that's more than can be said for most. The bowl of porridge settles in your stomach like a stone. It's not satisfying, but it's something. The warmth is fleeting, quickly replaced by a slow, creeping chill as you sit hunched by the hearth. The fire gives off more smoke than heat. Its meager flames spit and hiss, reluctant to burn. Bits of moss cling to the firewood, gathered damp, likely from the forest floor. The older woman, your supposed mother, doesn't speak much. She moves with mechanical slowness, stoking the embers with an iron poker, her shoulders stooped beneath layers of shawls. Her hands are work-worn fingers, bent nails blackened. Her eyes flick to you once or twice, but if she senses something is amiss, she doesn't say it. Outside, the village is waking up. You hear distant voices, muted, strained. A man shouting something about rats near the storehouse. A baby crying, the sound thin and gasping. Then the bell again. 2 tones this time spaced apart. Not the time for morning prayers. Something else. The girl, her name is Matilda. You think you heard someone say, returns from the threshold, wiping her hands on her apron. Her expression is pinched. They've nailed up the miller's place, she says flatly, as though commenting on the weather. You glance at her, nailed up. She nods, fiddling with a loose thread at her wrist. He'd been coughing all week. His wife passed last night, black blotches on her neck. So they've shut it. No one in, no one out. You feel the weight of her words settle into the room like soot. No one speaks. The fire snaps once, startled. You finish your meal in silence, forcing yourself not to think about what it meant to be locked inside your own home, alive or not. The porridge turns sour in your mouth. You venture outside just after midday. The sky is overcast, the clouds stretched thin like linen hung to dry. The air smells of peat smoke, damp earth, and something sharper, acrid and sour. Decay maybe, or fear. The villagers move differently now. No one lingers. No idle gossip at doorsteps. No children laughing, only watching wide-eyed from behind wooden slats. People pull up their hoods as they pass one another, scarves drawn up over mouths. Faces turned away. eyes cast down, like everyone's trying not to be seen or remembered. A woman carrying a bundle of herbs approaches the churchyard, her arms wrapped around it like a child. You watch as she presses it into the hands of the priest, tall man with thin shoulders and a too young face. He nods once, glances at the road, then disappears inside the chapel. The herbs are for the dead, or those trying not to join them. A voice beside you makes you jump. You want to keep lavender in your sleeve, or rosemary, anything sharp. They say it keeps the poison from getting in. It's a man, maybe 30, maybe older. Hard to tell. His beard is thick, his tunic frayed at the collar. He carries a satchel of something, clinking bottles perhaps. His eyes are shrewd, but not unkind. You nod, unsure what to say. Name's Wulfric, he offers. I run messages between the villages, but these days he trails off, glancing toward the shuttered mill house. Fewer messages, fewer villages. You manage a small reply. What's happening, I mean? What's really happening? Wulfric scratches at his beard. They're calling it God's punishment. Others say it's the stars, a bad alignment, or a miasma bad air coming off the marshes. But whatever it is, he lowers his voice. It's death. Black boils, blood coughing, people dying within days, sometimes hours. He shifts his bag. It came through the ports down south, Bristol first, then Exeter, now creeping inland like frost on the fields. You'll feel it when it's close. The air goes still. The birds stop singing. Even the dogs don't bark. You look around instinctively. The trees sway. No birdsong. A cart rattles past, pulled by a pale mare with ribs showing through her hide. A young boy sits on top, his eyes hollow. Best to keep busy, Wulfric says, sensing your unease. Work the land, say your prayers, burn sage if you can find it. Before you can respond, he nods and moves off, disappearing around a bend. You walk a little further. The village is surrounded by fields barely tilled, littered with frost-damaged stubble. A few people work the soil, bent double with crude tools, backs arched like old trees. No one sings while they work, just the scrape of iron against earth. You pass by the blacksmith's hut. The forge is cold. A note has been nailed to the door, gone to tend the sick. God have mercy. Behind the church you find the burial ground, and then you understand why the air smells of lye. Fresh graves line the slope like unhealed wounds. Some marked with stones, others left bare. A pile of lime sits beside a wooden wheelbarrow. You see a man digging slowly, rhythmically, his face obscured by a cloth tied behind his head. His spade hits the earth with dull, heavy thuds. A woman sobs softly nearby, holding a bundle wrapped in linen, too small to be anything but a child. You step back, the world shifting beneath you. A crow caws above, just one. You return to the hut in silence. Matilda is sewing, her stitches crooked but determined. The older woman scrapes at a pot, as if by scouring it harder she can cleanse the world outside. Where have you been, Matilda asks, not looking up. The chapel, you reply softly, and the graves. Her hands pause. She looks up then. Her face is drawn. It's coming, isn't it? You don't have to answer. She already knows. That night the wind changes. It isn't a loud wind, not the kind that howls through trees or shakes shutters. No, this wind whispers. It creeps. It tastes of ash and old stone, dry and cold and thin. You feel it first on the back of your neck, then in your bones. It doesn't belong here, not in this village, not in this season. You lie awake on the straw pallet listening. Matilda snores quietly beside you, curled like a kitten under a patchwork quilt. Across the room, the older woman, your mother in this strange life, sleeps with one hand on her chest, mouth slightly open, her breath shallow but steady. The hut creaks as if holding its breath. Far off a dog barks once, then silence, and then you hear a sound beneath sound. A bell tolling not from the chapel here, but from another village. Faint, like a ghost of metal brushing air. It comes again, then again, each ring slower than the last, like a heartbeat faltering. You close your eyes and dream of smoke. Morning comes without color. The clouds hang low, tinged yellow at the edges, as if the sun can't bear to rise. The air smells of wet leaves and burnt wood. The kind of morning where people whisper instead of greet, where even the roosters crow like they've forgotten how. At the center of the village, the priest reads from a small book Latin, you think. You understand none of it, but the cadence feels like morning. Before him lie 3 covered forms laid gently on a wooden cart. Beside them, a girl stands barefoot, silent, holding a wooden cross. Nobody cries, no one wails. That was a week ago. Now people weep in private if they weep at all. Wulfric appears again, this time with news. 2 more villages gone quiet, he says, his voice low. No one's come in or out for 3 days. If there's life, it's not answering the knock. He crouches near the fire, warming his hands. His eyes flick to the cart outside. That's the 3rd family this week, he mutters. None of them made it past the fever. The older woman, your mother, frowns but says nothing. She takes her wool and continues spinning her fingers, moving like muscle memory. You sit near the doorway, staring at the road. There's a stillness to the trees today. The birds haven't returned. Later, you help Matilda fetch herbs. Not for cooking, not today. For smoke. For burying. For stuffing into cloth to press against the nose. They say it helps lavender, thyme, rosemary, if it can be spared. Anything with a sharp scent to guard against the bad air. The 2 of you climb the gentle rise behind the chapel, following a worn goat path through bramble and lichen. The trees up here are thinner, the undergrowth sparse. It's easier to breathe among the pines until you notice the dead ones. A ring of them blackened at the base bark, peeling, as if fire licked them but left no ash. Matilda pauses and drops her gathering bag. Don't go there, she says, suddenly rigid. Not that way. You turn. Why not? Her face is pale. That's the place where the foxes went wrong. You blink. The foxes. A few months passed. She says slowly, there were 6. Slept in the same den up here. One day they started running in circles, yipping like they were mad. The houndmaster tried to follow them, found only bones, said their eyes had turned white like boiled milk. You step back instinctively. Animals know, she says, before we do. Back in the village, the air has shifted again. Not the smell, something else. People are watching now, behind curtains, through slits in shutters. Their eyes narrowed, their mouths downturned. Not at you, not directly, at everyone. Trust is eroding. The Black Death does not just kill, it corrodes. It turns neighbors into strangers, strangers into threats. Every cough is suspect. Every limp is a prophecy. The baker has closed his shutters. The tavern lies quiet. Its door locked, the hearth gone cold. Only the chapel remains open, but even the priest no longer shakes hands. That evening, As the sun slips behind grey hills, a new sound arrives, clanging, a hollow, eerie ring, not like the church bell. This is nearer faster metal on metal. You step outside. A figure walks the road hunched beneath a cloak. A small handbell swings from his wrist, ringing with each step. His face is hidden beneath a hood, but his voice calls clear across the silence. "Bring out your dead! Bring out your dead!" Behind him rolls a cart, empty for now. Your stomach tightens. Matilda clutches your hand. "Why is he here?" she whispers. Hes Early says Wulfric, emerging from the mist like a shadow. They only come once the burials outnumber the priests. You glance at him. Is that soon? He doesn't answer. That night you dream again. You're in the graveyard, standing among rows of fresh earth. You try to count the mounds, but they shift each time you blink. 12, then 30, then hundreds. The wind carries whispers, not language, just longing. The ground is soft. You sink, you wake with a start. Outside someone screams, just once, then nothing. The wind has stilled. The trees don't move, and the bell is ringing again. At dawn, the frost returns. A thin veil clings to the rooftops and the worn wooden fence posts, turning the village into something ghostly. You step outside, barefoot, the cold shocking you back to life. Your breath rises in front of you in small clouds, each one vanishing before you can catch it. The cart is still there. It sits crooked near the chapel wall, its back wheel sunk slightly into the soft earth. The man with the bell is gone, but his message lingers like smoke. Bring out your dead. 3 bodies lie in the back, now shrouded in linen and silence. One is small, a child. You don't look long. Matilda stands beside you, her arms folded tight across her chest, eyes fixed on the frostbitten grass. "I know that sheet," she says quietly. You don't ask. Inside the chapel, the priest's voice carries faintly over the threshold. He is singing something. Not loud, not joyful, more like a lullaby for the dying. You press your ear to the door. His Latin is slurred from fatigue or grief, maybe both. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine. Grant them eternal rest, O Lord. By midday, the cart is gone. Wulfric says it's headed for the charnel Peter mass grave outside the village, somewhere past the old stone quarry. No names, no markers, just limecloth and the mercy of forgetting. He warns you not to go there. Unless you're carrying someone, he says you don't walk that way. It's cursed ground, like leaving the living for the dead to sort. That afternoon, the wind changes again. This time it smells of vinegar and wood smoke. A woman in a green cloak walks the lane with a bundle of dried rosemary tucked in her waistband, her face completely covered. Behind her, a man follows with a small copper pot, letting it steam into the air as he walks. A trail of scent, sharp and sour, follows them. "What are they doing, you ask?" Matilda shrugs. Fumigation. The word feels strange in your mouth. Does it work? Sometimes, she says. So does prayer. So does running. Neither of you laugh. That night, the priest visits your home. He looks worse than you remember, paler, more sunken around the eyes. His robe is frayed at the edges, and his hands shake when he blesses the hearth with holy water. He speaks to the older woman in low tones, and she listens with her eyes fixed on the fire. Eventually, he turns to you and Matilda. "Do not go to the well after dark," he says. You nod without understanding. He continues. "There's talk now of spirits walking, of dreams turning into fevers. We know not if it's God's will or something older, but when the sun is gone, best stay behind the door. He leaves without another word. The older woman bars the door behind him with a rusted iron rod. She places 2 sprigs of lavender on the threshold and mutters a prayer in a language you don't recognize. It's not Latin. It sounds older, earthier. You lie awake again, the straw itching your back, the room heavy with silence. You remember the priest's words, dreams turning into fevers. You fall asleep anyway. And this time the dream is vivid. You're back in the field by the charnel pit. You're not alone. Figures are there, some wrapped in cloth, others naked and blue with cold. They do not speak, but they move, slowly, awkwardly, as if remembering how to walk. Their mouths are open as though screaming silently. One of them sees you, points. You try to run, but the ground is mud and your feet are heavy. You sink. The pit is behind you, open like a mouth. The wind carries a single word. Agnes. You wake gasping. You don't know why that name still rattles you. Is that who you're meant to be here? Or is she someone else? Someone who belonged to this place before you did. The hearth has gone out. You lie very still. Then you hear it. Scratching just beyond the wall, slow, deliberate, like fingernails over wood. Morning comes late. The sky is the color of dirty wool. A fine drizzle patters on the roof, constant and dull. Wulfric appears again, and this time he doesn't come alone. Behind him walks a man in black robes, the hood drawn high. A mask covers his face, long-beaked and strange. 2 round eye holes reflect the light like glass. A plague doctor. The image is so surreal, so out of place, it jolts you. This is real history walking. Wulfric nods toward him. From London, he mutters. Says he's here to keep records, see how far it's spread. The man does not speak. He carries a ledger under one arm and a long cane in the other. The end of the stick is red-coated in wax or blood, you can't tell. He gestures toward the chapel and walks off without waiting. Do you trust him, you ask? Wulfric watches the man go. No, but I trust that the town must be worse than here if they've started sending watchers. That evening, another home is shuttered. A woman was found collapsed outside the well, blood on her mouth, a rosary tangled in her fingers. Her family didn't come to the chapel. No one does now. The bell is silent. Instead, the cart rolls again early this time. You hear it before you see it. That metallic jangle, the sound of things ending. The man with the bell doesn't shout today. He just stops, waits. The cart is already half full. Matilda presses her face into your shoulder. You don't look. You know now that the Black Death doesn't roar. It doesn't rage. It seeps. It waits. It watches. It scratches at your door in the dark and leaves its fingerprints on your dreams. And in this world, it's only just begun. You wake to the sound of coughing, not the dry throat-clearing kind, but wet and deep. It rumbles from the other side of the room, shaking the floorboards beneath your pallet. You sit up sharply. It's the older woman, your mother, though that word still doesn't sit right. She's hunched beside the hearth, one hand gripping the edge of the stool, the other clutched to her chest. Her back rises and falls with each racking breath, each cough bringing up something darker. Matilda is already there, her arms wrapped tight around the woman's shoulders, whispering something soft and desperate. You rise slowly. Fetch the priest, Matilda says, without looking up. You hesitate. The priest if he's still well, he'll be in the chapel. If he's not, Now she snaps. You throw on your cloak and rush out into the half-light of morning. The village looks different. It isn't the sky, it's as grey and low as ever, nor the smell that familiar rot and rain that clings to the earth. It's the people. There are fewer of them. Doors are bolted, windows are shuttered. You pass the blacksmith's houses still locked. No one has emerged in days. The baker's sign swings loose on its hook. The shop is empty, the hearth inside dark. And the chapel door is ajar. You push it open. Inside, the air is thick. Incense hangs heavy in the rafters, mingling with the sourness of sweat and wax. The priest kneels at the altar, his hands clasped, eyes closed. His lips move, but no sound emerges. Beside him, 3 bodies lie covered at the foot of the chancel steps. You step closer, uncertain. He opens his eyes before you speak. I know, he says hoarsely. Who is it? Your Agnes' mother. He closes his eyes again, ill come. As he rises, his knees crack audibly. He moves like a man made of old parchment, fragile, barely holding. He picks up his oil flask and a worn book, tucks them under one arm and gestures for you to walk ahead. You do. But as you step outside, you glance back and see it. The way he rests his hand against the stone pillar just for a moment, steadying himself, preparing, as though he's walking into war. When the priest enters the hut, the smell hits you first. Not of illness exactly, but of heat and cloth and something off. Not yet death, but the path towards it. The older woman lies on her side now, a cloth over her mouth. Her skin shines with sweat, her lips cracked. She mumbles in her sleep words that slip between languages, prayers, or memories, maybe both. The priest kneels beside her, murmurs his rites, and anoints her forehead with oil. Matilda holds her mother's hand. You stand in the doorway, watching the flame in the hearth flicker low. And then, without warning, the priest begins to cough. Just once, but you hear it. A sound like paper tearing. He wipes his mouth on his sleeve and finishes the prayer. You notice he doesn't bless himself when he stands. That night, the air burns. Not with heat, there's still frost at the edges of the windows, but with smoke. You wake to it. Acrid, dry, a choking fog seeping through the walls. You stumble outside into a village half shrouded in ash. Down the hill near the far edge of the field, a cottage is ablaze. Not an accident. A fire set on purpose. Wulfric is there standing in the glow, arms crossed. He doesn't speak, doesn't look away. You join him wordlessly. Why, you ask? He chews his lip. It was empty, all of them gone. But the smell, it was in the walls. So they burned it. He nods. Not for cleansing, he says, for warning. To remind the rest, do not linger too long in hope. You watch as the thatch collapses in on itself, embers curling into the sky like lost souls. Wulfric tosses something into the fire, a strip of cloth. Red, he says, marked with boils. And then he turns and walks away. The next day, the cart does not arrive. You wait for the jangle of the bell, but it never comes. The bodies are not collected. The priest is not seen. Matilda doesn't speak. She pours water, stokes the fire, changes the cloth on her mother's brow. But her eyes are hollow, tired in a way you've never seen before. In the afternoon, you go to the chapel. It's empty. The pews are askew. The crucifix lies face down on the altar. In the far corner, a stool is tipped on its side, and next to it the priest's book of rites page is wet smeared. You lift it carefully. A single page is marked with a ribbon. Psalm 91. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night. You leave the chapel quickly. By dusk, the older woman's breathing slows. Matilda sits by her side, lips pressed together. You crouch beside them, unsure what to offer. I dreamt of her last night, Matilda says suddenly. Before the fever, she was in the garden, laughing. There were lavender bushes, and I remember thinking, we never had lavender. You say nothing. She had color in her cheeks. She looked younger, healthier. Matilda's voice is steady. That's how I'll remember her, not like this. The woman exhales softly and doesn't breathe again. No cry, no wail, just silence. Matilda closes her eyes. A single tear slides down her cheek, leaving a clean line through the soot. Outside, the village holds its breath. You help Matilda wrap the body. No cart will come tonight, so you carry her yourselves, just the two of you, across the field to the grove near the old quarry. It's slow work. The ground is uneven, the cloth slips, but you make it. You lower her into a shallow grave lined with bracken and lime. Matilda places a rosary in her mother's hands. I don't know the prayers she admits. You whisper what you can remember, not for God perhaps, but for memory, for meaning. As you cover the body with earth, a soft sound catches your ear. The wind has picked up again, only now it carries something new. A cough from the trees. You and Matilda freeze. The cough comes again, and then another. From a second voice, the woods are watching. The trees shift around you. It isn't the breeze, though the air is colder now, threading through the pine like a whisper. No, it's something else. A presence. The woods feel aware, like they've grown eyes. You and Matilda stand frozen over the shallow grave spade still in hand, your boots slick with disturbed soil. The cough has come twice now, two separate throats. You didn't imagine it. The sound was too real, too human. But whoever made it doesn't step forward, doesn't speak, just waits, hidden. Move slowly, you whisper. Matilda nods once. You leave the last of the earth scattered across the burial site, not daring to make another sound. Together, you back away, eyes scanning the shadowed undergrowth, the tangled roots and skeletal branches. And then you see him. A boino older than 10 emerges from between two oaks. His tunic is ragged. His face is smudged with ash or dirt. And his eyes, they are hollow. Not blank, not fearful, just hollow. He doesn't speak, just stares. Then two more figures step out behind him. A woman barefoot, wild-eyed. And a man staggering slightly, his hand clutching his ribs. His sleeve is stained dark. You don't know if it's wine or blood. Matilda tightens her grip on your arm. Plague runners, she murmurs. They fled from somewhere else. You look around. There's no sign of others. But that doesn't mean they're alone. What do we do, you ask? If we help them, she begins, but doesn't finish. If they're infected, you both know how that ends. But if you turn your backs and they aren't, you look at the boy again. His face is flushed, his lips cracked. He's ill. The man behind him sways and drops to one knee. The woman doesn't move to help him. She just watches you with something between fury and despair. Then the man coughs, and this time it's not just wet. It's bloody. That's the answer. You take Matilda's hand and pull her back. The figures don't follow. Not at first. But then the woman lifts her voice. Please, food, water, my boy, please. You don't stop. You run. The trees don't stop you, but they don't protect you either. When you reach the edge of the village, the first thing you notice is the bell. It's ringing again, but not from the cart. From the chapel. Slow, dull, heavy. 1. Pause. 2. Pause. 3. And then silence. Matilda is breathless, her hair plastered to her cheeks, eyes red from cold and grief. She wipes her nose with the back of her sleeve. 3 rings, she murmurs. That means the priest is dead. You don't question it. You already know it's true. The village is unraveling. That night you hear an argument near the common storehouse, shouting panic, the smash of pottery. Someone's been stealing supplies. No one admits it. Accusations fly. A man strikes another. Someone screams. No one intervenes. You and Matilda sit by the fire wrapped in blankets that smell of smoke and old sweat. Neither of you speaks for a long while. Finally, she says, "This place is breaking." You nod. What happens when it does? She stares into the flames. Then we go. You blink. Go where? I don't know, she says. Anywhere the bell hasn't rung. You wonder if such a place exists. The next morning you wake to find a mark on your door. A crude cross drawn in charcoal. Smudged but deliberate. Matilda sees it too. She doesn't speak. You both know what it means. Someone believes the sickness is in your house. Someone has decided to warn others, or perhaps warn you. You search for Wulfric, but he's gone. His hut is empty, his belongings scattered. On the table, a small piece of parchment. Gone north. Too late to save this place. Don't follow me. Matilda reads it twice. Then she folds it, pockets it, and says, "I think he's right." The village council, what's left of it, meets that afternoon. 5 men, 3 women, none of them elected, just the ones still standing. They gather under the old tree in the center of the green, wrapped in cloaks, holding scarves to their mouths. There's talk of sealing the road, of boarding up homes marked with crosses, of forcing the sick into the woods. A few protest, but most nod. Matilda watches, arms crossed, silent. When someone points at your hut, she steps forward. "Mother's gone," she says. "We buried her ourselves. No sign since. Don't punish the living for fear." The others murmur. No one challenges her. Not yet. But the fear is growing faster than the disease. You see it in their eyes. That night, the scratching returns. You sit in the dark, a knife in your hand, Matilda beside you with an oil lamp unlit in her lap. The sound moves along the wall, slow, deliberate, not rats. A hand, someone is touching your home, marking it, testing. You open the door with a rush and see only footprints in the frost. Bare, small, headed away. You follow them with your eyes. They lead toward the woods. You remember the boy. The next morning the cart returns. The man doesn't ring his bell. He doesn't need to. It's already full. 2 others follow behind with shovels. They don't speak, don't stop. They're not collectors now. They're cleaners, wearing masks, carrying lime. They don't ask names, don't take prayers. They just take bodies. That evening, Matilda packs what little food remains, dried barley, old cheese, a sliver of salted pork. You help her wrap the herbs. She insists on carrying lavender, sage, rosemary. "What are we doing?" you ask. She ties her cloak. "We're leaving." Now, she nods. "Before the fire starts." You understand. It's begun in other villages, burning the sick houses, cleansing by flame. You shoulder a bundle and step into the cold. The village doesn't say goodbye. The trees wait ahead. The world is quiet, and behind you the bell begins to ring again. You leave under a sky the color of stone. The road out of the village is barely a road at all. Just 2 muddy tracks pressed by cartwheels lined with nettles and broken fences. Behind you, the rooftops shrink into a huddle of soot and smoke. A black ribbon of chimney haze curls skyward, twisting in the still air. You do not look back. Matilda walks ahead of you, cloak tight around her shoulders, her bundle strapped to her back. Her steps are steady, too steady for a girl who just buried her mother. Or perhaps that's why walking is all that's left to her now. The fields are empty. No plows, no oxen, just brittle stubs of last season's barley. Even the crows have grown quiet. You speak little that morning. Words seem fragile, like they might shatter against the cold. By midday, the road forks at a willow tree half swallowed by bramble. A tattered scrap of cloth hangs from one of its branches, a child's tunic perhaps stiff with time and weather. Beneath the tree lies a stone carved roughly with a cross. The ground here is uneven. Matilda stops. "We should mark the turns," she says. You nod and scratch an arrow into the earth with a broken twig. The act feels ceremonial, as though you're acknowledging that paths now matter more than destinations. You choose the left path, the one less worn, not because it feels safer, just less remembered. The first house you pass is nothing but bones, charred beams, a chimney blackened and broken. A pot lies cracked in the ash, its handle melted. No signs of life, no signs of burial. Whatever happened here, no one stayed to tell the tale. Matilda tightens her grip on the herb pouch at her belt. She pulls a sprig of rosemary from it and presses it to her nose. The scent is sharp, earthy, and bitter. She offers you one. You tuck it into your sleeve, more for her comfort than your own. "I don't like fire anymore," she says softly. You don't either. That night, you shelter beneath a fallen oak near the bend of a dried-up stream. You make no fire. The stars are clouded, and the moon is just a blur behind mist. You eat a crust of bread hard enough to crack a tooth and share the last of the dried pork. Matilda leans against your shoulder. "Where do you think he went?" she asks. You know who she means, Wulfric. "North," you reply. He said north. "What's north?" You hesitate. Maybe nothing you admit. Maybe just more of this. She nods, then closes her eyes. But maybe not. It's the closest either of you has come to hope in days. You wake before the sun. Your legs ache from the damp. Your neck is stiff. The morning is mist-choked and cold, and you can hear the distant calls of something, dogs, maybe, or wolves. The road is waiting. By noon you find a second village, or what's left of one. The place has been abandoned, not burned. Doors hang open. Chickens peck at the soil near the chapel steps. A cat slips between fence posts, too thin for its own shadow. The wind moves through the thatch like breath. You and Matilda search quietly. You find a wheel of cheese, still good, if a little waxy, and a jug of cider, half filled with grit. In the chapel, Matilda finds a blanket, embroidered with blue thread. She folds it carefully. "Wasn't robbed," she observes. "No, you agree. They left in a hurry. Or died before they could. The burial ground is shallow and the crosses are crude. But someone tried." You both leave a small stone at the gate. A ritual, a promise, an apology. You don't know which. That night, Matilda dreams. You hear her mumbling in her sleep. Something about lavender and her mother's voice. She stirs, but doesn't cry out. When she wakes, she doesn't speak of it. You ask anyway. She shrugs. It wasn't a bad dream, just real. You wonder if your dreams will ever be yours again, or if they too now belong to 1348. 3 days pass. You move through woods and ruined hamlets, across frozen streams and frost-hardened meadows. You meet no one, no carts, no riders, no monks on the road. But you see signs, chalk crosses on doorposts, dried herbs nailed to shutters. A single child's toy hand carved a wooden horse left in the middle of a dirt track, as if dropped mid-play. Once you see smoke far off, a plume rising from behind a hill. You do not investigate. The dead are burning now, and sometimes the living too. On the 6th day, the sky clears. For the first time in what feels like weeks, sunlight pours through the trees. The frost on the leaves glimmers. The air smells of pine. You reach the top of a ridge and Matilda gasps. Below lies another village, whole, unburned. You see smoke not wild or choking, but hearth smoke, warm, blue, a line of it from chimneys. There are people walking and carts on the road, children, a woman at a well. You don't move. You and Matilda just stare like you've stumbled upon a miracle or a lie. It's still alive, she whispers, but the question hovers in the air like fog. For how long? You step forward. The wind shifts, and then you smell it. Sweet, too sweet, like apples left too long, and you know, it's here too. The village lies in a gentle hollow surrounded by thin trees and sloping fields that once would have been golden with wheat. From a distance it looks untouched, too whole, too quiet. Matilda notices it too. They're pretending, she murmurs as you both descend the path. Pretending what you ask, that it hasn't come. The closer you get, the more obvious it becomes. The shutters are painted, the fences mended. Children walk the lanes holding each other's hands too tightly. A woman kneels beside a cabbage patch weeding soil that no longer grows. And above it all, silence. A smothered kind of silence. One that grips the throat of the village like a hand. No laughter. No chickens clucking. No blacksmith's hammer. Just the sounds of motion, carefully choreographed to mimic normalcy. You pass a man chopping wood. He doesn't look at you. Afternoon, you offer. He flinches, barely perceptible, and doesn't reply. The axe falls again. Matilda's grip on your arm tightens. At the edge of the square stands a wooden sign. Welcome to Elmwick. We remain clean. All travelers must report to the warden. The word clean is underlined in soot black. You look at Matilda. She raises her eyebrows. Shall we report then? You nod, unsure if it's courage or folly guiding you. The warden is a gaunt man with greying stubble and a cloak stitched with mismatched patches. He stands near the chapel door, arms folded, watching everything. His eyes find you the moment you step into the square. You approach slowly. We've come from the south, you say. Haven't shown symptoms. We just need rest and a place to sleep. The warden says nothing at first. Then names. Agnes and Thomas, Matilda says quickly. You blink. It's the first time she's called you by a name. He nods once. No entry into homes. No touching. No chapel. Food is traded, not shared. If there's a fever, you leave. Understood, you reply. You'll stay in the loft above the tannery. Blankets inside. No fire after dark. He walks away. And that's it. Permission without welcome. The tannery smells of hides and lye. Its loft is low and drafty but dry. A ladder leads to the hay-lined floor where woolen sacks serve as makeshift bedding. There's one window, and through it you can see the chapel spire, straight, clean, untouched. You lie down beside Matilda, staring at the wooden beams above. They think if they act normal, she whispers, it won't find them. You nod. But you smelled it, she adds. You did. That sickly sweet perfume of rot and fever. Beneath the rosemary bundles hung from every doorway, beneath the incense wafting from the chapel window, sit lingers. The plague doesn't need an invitation. You spend the next day gathering news. Carefully, quietly. The people of Elmwick do not speak of the sickness. It's as if the word itself might summon it. They talk of the harvest of rain of geese migrating too early, but never of death. When you ask an old woman about other villages, she spits into the dirt and turns away. Matilda tries a boy by the well, offering him an apple in exchange for his story. He takes the fruit but says only, "We don't talk about the lost ones." It's a brittle peace here, built not on health but on denial. That evening, as the sun bleeds into the horizon, you hear it again. Coughing, not far. A child's maybe. quick, rasping. You peer out the loft window. Across the lane, a shutter slams closed. A mother pulls her daughter inside by the arm. No light comes from that house again. You turn to Matilda. "It's here," you say. She doesn't reply, just pulls her cloak tighter. On the second morning, the baker doesn't open. His door remains shut. No bread is placed on the window ledge. No fire in the hearth. The warden posts a man outside the door. He wears gloves. By evening, the door is nailed shut. No explanation is given. Children are warned away. The smell starts by midnight. You and Matilda don't sleep that night. You sit awake listening. To coughing, to footsteps, to the sound of someone sobbing in the tannery yard. A woman cries for her son, then stops suddenly as though remembering the rules. No grief, not here. Grief lets it in. On the third morning, you find herbs tied to your door. 3 bundles rosemary, sage, and yarrow woven together with red twine. It isn't a gift. It's a warning. Matilda holds the bundle in her hands, her face unreadable. "They know," she says. "We've shown no signs." "They don't need signs," she replies. "They only need fear." She begins to pack. You leave Elmwick just after dusk. No one stops you. No one looks. You walk through the square, past the shuttered baker, past the chapel, past the old man who sits with a shawl over his head and hums a tune you can't place. You don't speak. Matilda glances back once. Another week, she murmurs, and it'll be quiet there too. You believe her. As the mist rises behind you, Elmwick vanishes like a dream denied. And ahead, the road waits, still and wide. You walk through fog for a day and a half. It rolls low across the fields, dense and slow like something alive. Even in daylight, the sun hangs like a ghost behind grey. You've lost the road 3 times already, and now you're following instinct more than path. Matilda says little. She walks beside you, hood drawn, head down, clutching the pouch of herbs like a talisman. You keep listening for bells, but there are none. Just the sound of your feet squelching through sodden grass, and the occasional rustle of a creature too small or too wise to be seen. At night, the fog thickens. You sleep curled together under a willow tree, damp and cold, with a blanket that no longer holds warmth. And still no sign of life. No fires on the hills. No lights in the windows. Nothing but silence. By mid-morning on the second day, you smell salt. The air shifts subtly, colder, clearer. The scent of brine and wet reeds. You're near a marsh. And beyond that, perhaps a coast. You find the chapel by accident. It appears as the fog thins for a moment. A crooked stone building, half swallowed by moss, perched on a rise above the wetland. Its windows are long gone. Ivy crawls up its belfry like fingers. No village nearby, no paths leading to it, just the chapel and the mist. Matilda stops. "We should pass it," she says, but her voice falters. You understand. Something about it calls. You push the door open with a groan of wood against stone. Inside it's cold. Not just from the air, but from something deeper. Like the place itself has forgotten warmth. Light seeps through cracks in the stone painting, narrow beams across the dirt floor. At the far end stands an altar blackened by centuries of candle soot. Behind it, a statue of the Virgin remains, mostly intact, her face kind, but her hands chipped away. Matilda steps in slowly, clutching a sprig of rosemary to her chest. You walk the nave, brushing aside cobwebs. There are no puce-only stones where people once knelt. No relics, no icons. Only dust. And something else. A shape in the corner. A bundle of fabric. You move toward it. It's a body, wrapped in a grey cloak, knees curled up, hands folded as if in prayer. But the face is peaceful, too peaceful. Matilda kneels beside it. "He came here to die," she whispers, "chose this place." You nod. There's no smell, no flies, no fear, only stillness. As if even the Black Death had paused at the threshold. You bury him behind the chapel, not out of obligation but reverence. There's a quiet dignity to the man. His boots are worn through. A wooden cross hangs from his neck. You find a scrap of parchment tucked into his cloak, illegible, water-damaged. Matilda lays rosemary on his chest. You say nothing. The wind does the speaking. You spend the night inside the chapel. It's the first place that feels safe in days. You light a small fire in the old hearth using driftwood and dead ivy. It crackles with reluctant warmth. Matilda wraps herself in her blanket and stares at the flame. I think he was a monk, she says. You glance at the bundle by the wall. Yes. Do you think he prayed for us? You hesitate. Maybe not us, you reply. But someone. She nods. I think that's enough. In the morning, something changes. The fog has lifted. Completely. You stand at the chapel door and see it, the marsh vast and golden, dotted with shallow pools and silent birds. Beyond it, the faint gleam of water and estuary, perhaps, or the sea. The sun is pale but present, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you feel its touch on your skin. You eat quietly. Cheese-hard bread, a sliver of dried apple. Then you walk. The path winds through the marsh like a vein, planks laid across the wettest parts, stones guiding your steps where the water is low. Frogs croak somewhere to your left. A heron lifts into the air, wings wide and white. There are footprints here, old but still visible. Someone came this way, maybe many someones. Hope curls in your chest like a timid ember. By noon you reach the water. It's not the sea knot yet, but a wide, slow river cutting through the reeds. On the other side, land rises into low hills, dotted with thorn trees and patches of heather. And there a bridge, rotted but standing. And a figure. You freeze. A man stands at the far side holding a staff. He watches you, says nothing. Matilda steps forward. We mean no harm, she calls. The man nods once, then beckons. You glance at her, then you cross. The bridge creaks under your weight. Each step feels like a test. The river below moves sluggishly, carrying broken twigs and yellow leaves. When you reach the far side, the man studies your faces, eyes sharp beneath a hooded brow. You come from the south, he says. It isn't a question. Yes, you answer. Elmwick, he asks. You nod. And before that, a village without a name, Matilda replies. The man's lips tighten. Most of them are now. He turns. Follow me. You do. He leads you up the hill through a patch of stunted trees to a small house built of turf and stone. Outside stands a woman stirring something in a pot, and two children tending a goat. They look at you, but without fear. The man gestures. We don't ask names, not unless you stay. You look at Matilda. She nods. And for the first time, you feel something real. Not safety, but possibility. The house is warm. Not by the standards of the world you came from, perhaps, but here now it feels like stepping into the memory of comfort. The hearth crackles. A pot of stew bubbles gently. The air smells of thyme smoke and something savory. The children glance at you curious, but quiet. The woman tall with streaks of grey in her braid nods once in welcome, then returns to stirring the pot. Her expression is neither stern nor soft, just worn like weathered stone. The man removes his cloak and hangs it by the door. We trade skills for stay, he says plainly. Shelter, food, fire, all earned. You nod. Matilda mirrors you. I can mend cloth, she says quickly. Spin thread, gather herbs. You add I can dig, chop, carry, whatever's needed. The man considers you both, then gestures toward the table. Then eat. Rest after. You'll start tomorrow. You eat slowly. The stew is thin, mostly broth with bits of barley onion and wild garlic, but it fills your belly and warms your fingers. The youngest child, a boy with a shock of blonde hair, sits across from you and stares with wide eyes. "Did you come through the marsh?" he asks. You nod. "Was it full of ghosts?" Matilda smiles faintly, only quiet ones. The boy seems satisfied by that. The older girl, maybe 10, says nothing. She just watches. The woman finally speaks. "This place has no name. That's how we've kept it." "No name," Matilda repeats. "No name, no maps, no travelers," the woman replies. "Only those who know how to disappear." You look around the house. It's simple. One room. Bundles of herbs hang from the beams. Tools lean against the wall. A single carved figure, something between an angel and a mother, sits in a niche above the fire. A place built not to be found. That night you sleep in the loft. The hay is dry. The air carries the scent of wood smoke and old wool. You and Matilda lie side by side beneath a rough spun blanket, staring at the beams above. "It's the first time I've not heard coughing," she whispers. You listen. She's right. No bells, no sobs, no scratching at the walls. Just the wind soft against the turf and the occasional crackle from the fire below. "Do you think we'll stay?" she asks. You hesitate. "I don't know, you admit, but I think we were meant to find it." She turns on her side. "If it stays quiet, maybe we'll let our names go too." You watch her as she drifts to sleep, her brow smooth for the first time in weeks. And for a little while you believe her. The next morning you work. The man whose name you learn is Aldrichens you, a crude axe, and points to the edge of the woods. Deadfall only, nothing green, and no deep wandering. You understand the warning. The forest holds memories, and not all of them are kind. You chop, stack, carry. The weight feels good. Your muscles ache with something close to purpose. When you return, Aldrich nods once. Not praise exactly, but approval. Matilda spends the morning with the woman Enna, learning how to dry nettles for tea, how to twist reeds into cord, how to scent the air with crushed juniper. The children trail her like shadows. You hear laughter, actual laughter. It startles you, and then it warms you. In the afternoons, you're left to yourself. You explore carefully the land around the hill. The house sits on high ground, bordered by woods on one side and marsh on the other. A small stream winds nearby. There's a patch of wild garlic, a cluster of old yews, and a ring of standing stones almost swallowed by bramble. You find paths that feel older than the house. Footprints now faint. One day, Matilda finds a cairn unmarked but fresh. Someone buried here recently. You don't ask who. On the 7th evening, Aldrich joins you by the fire. He sharpens a blade slowly, methodically. After a while, he says, "You've seen enough to know it won't end soon." You nod. There are places, he continues, where the plague runs so thick the crows refuse to land. You wait. They burn the dead with salt and herbs. They ring bells not for mourning, but to warn others not to come. You glance at Matilda, who's helping Ina with the washing. Aldrich watches you. "Still want to stay?" You answer honestly. "For now." He nods. That's enough. The children grow used to you. The girl Sibby is, sharp-eyed and quiet. She watches how you tie bundles, how you move through the woods. One morning she gives you a polished stone with a hole in it. "For luck," she says, "found it by the water." The boy, Thomas, asks questions constantly. About where you came from, what ghosts smell like, whether God lives in the clouds or under the floorboards. Matilda answers gently, sometimes with stories, sometimes with riddles. The house breathes. The hill holds. One night you hear Ina singing. A lullaby, soft, rhythmic, older than language. You don't understand the words, but they make you cry. You sit in the dark, tears slipping without warning. Matilda finds your hand. No one says anything. Because what is there to say when sorrow no longer has edges? In your sleep you dream of bells again, but this time they are distant. Not warnings, not dirges, just echoes, fading. Weeks pass. You stop counting the days. There is no church bell to mark them, no market stalls to set a rhythm. Only the quiet turns of the moon, the deepening of frost. At dawn, the slow way Matilda now smiles without thinking. The world beyond the hill grows quieter still. Aldrich ventures out every 5th or 6th day, never more. When he returns, he brings fewer things: a bolt of damp cloth, a pouch of salt, a cracked crucifix once left on a doorstep. He never speaks of where he goes, nor what he sees, only that it's worse. Once he returns empty-handed. That night he sharpens every tool in silence, jaw set like iron. You don't ask, you know the answer already. One morning you wake to birdsong. Real birdsong, thrushes and wrens in the birch trees calling clear into the pale blue sky. It startles you at first, like a sound you've only dreamt of. Matilda stirs beside you. They're singing, she whispers. You both listen, and for a moment it feels like the world has forgiven itself. That day Matilda finds the burnt circle. She's out foraging near the northern ridge past the yew grove. When she doesn't return by dusk, you go looking. You find her kneeling in the heather, staring at blackened earth. A perfect ring charred to ash, maybe 6 feet wide. In the center, nothing. Just grey dust and silence. She doesn't look up as you approach. Someone burned them here, she says. You nod. The whole family, maybe. No graves, no stones. She rubs her hands together, as if trying to scrape off some invisible residue. They didn't even scream. You kneel beside her. There's no smell now. Only cold air and the faint sweetness of distant wood smoke. You say, well, remember them. She places a single sprig of thyme in the center of the circle, then rises. You walk home together. Neither of you speaks. That night, Matilda cannot sleep. You lie awake, listening to her breath stutter beside you. When you reach for her hand, you find it trembling. I saw a child's shoe, she murmurs, just sitting on the edge. You don't ask what she imagines, because you imagine it too. Aina begins boiling juniper more often. The house smells of pine and resin, thick and medicinal. Sibby asks, is it back? Ina doesn't answer. Instead, she tells the girl to burn rosemary in every corner of the house and keep the cat inside. Matilda helps without complaint. You begin noticing the signs again. Scratch crosses on tree bark, bundles of dried herbs hung in strange places in the chicken coop inside boots between rafters. It's not panic, but it's preparation. The silence has changed pitch. One morning, Aldrich returns with blood on his cloak. You open the door and catch the scent before you see Himiron and Ash sour with sweat. Aina doesn't flinch. She takes the cloak without question. They speak outside that evening. Low, terse, just out of earshot. Matilda watches from the window. When she turns to you, her face is pale. I think someone followed him, she says. You check the paths the next morning. You find footprints. Too small for Aldrich, too wide set for Sibby. Someone has been watching. You tell no one. But that night you sharpen the axe. The days shorten. The frost doesn't melt from the ground now, even at midday. Mist clings to the low grass like a second skin. The children stop venturing beyond the yard. Ina moves her herb bundles closer to the hearth, and Matilda becomes quiet again. Not the quiet of grief, the quiet of waiting. On the first night of the new moon, you hear the bell. Distant, muffled, 3 chimes. And then a 4th. You bolt upright. Matilda is already awake. You look at each other. then the window. Far across the marsh, a flicker, a tower, and the faintest sound of singing, a procession. In the morning, you speak to Aldrich. He says nothing for a long time. Then, there's a monastery due east, cut off at the start. We thought it abandoned. You think they survived. I think he says slowly, someone wants the world to believe they have. Matilda asks, what would they gain? Faith, he replies, or obedience, or both. You glance toward the hills. The singing still echoes faintly in your ears. You're not sure if you want to follow it or flee it. Ina begins to unravel a plan. We've stores for winter, she says, but not if more come. She looks to you and Matilda. You two weren't the first. You won't be the last. You understand. She's not asking you to leave. She's asking if you're ready to stay when others do. To choose the hill. To guard it. To carry the silence with purpose. You nod. Matilda nods. And it's done. You fortify the boundary. You help Aldrich reinforce the door. You dig deeper pits for refuse away from the water. You gather stones for a second cairn just in case. The children learn to braid garlic. Matilda teaches them how to weave nettles into cloth. Ina writes something on the back of the firewood ledger lines of verse simple and calm. It's not prayer, but it feels close. Then on a bitter night in late November, a voice calls from the trees. Help us. Matilda hears it first. You rise from your blanket and stand by the window. 3 figures, one carrying another. The one in the center sways. You grab your cloak. Matilda is already opening the door. The world outside is dark and wide. The bell has stopped, but its echo still rings. They stagger from the trees like phantoms. 3 of them, 2 upright, one slung between them like a sack of broken bones. The tallest is wrapped in a cloak too thin for the frost hood sagging low. The other, a woman, walks stiffly, favoring her left leg. Her skirt is torn at the hem, soaked to the knee. The third, whoever they are, doesn't move at all. You stand at the edge of the firelight, Matilda just ahead of you. Stop there, Aldrich calls, his voice sharp low. The figures halt. We need shelter, the woman says. Her voice is hoarse, cracked from cold and something else. Please. He's burning up. He won't last the night. Name your last village, Aldrich says. Silence. Then Westmere. Matilda inhales sharply beside you. It was one of the first to fall. Burned. Erased. Westmere is Ash, Aldrich says, not unkindly. We fled before she replies. When the fires started. A pause. Matilda steps forward. If he's burning, you won't make it till dawn. She looks to Aldrich. He hesitates, then nods once. Stable, he says, not the house. You carry the man. His body is limp, fevered. Skin hot as a sunlit stone, though the night bites hard. He murmurs something incoherent as you lay him down on a straw pallet beside the goat stall. His hair is matted, his face sunken. The woman sits beside him, rubbing his arm, whispering comfort that he cannot hear. The other figure now, revealed to be a boy barely 15, leans against the doorframe, eyes red from exhaustion. Thank you, the woman murmurs. Matilda hands her a clay mug of broth. No thanks. Just truth when the time comes. You do not sleep. None of you do. You take turns watching the stable. Aldrich sharpens a knife by the fire. Ina writes. Matilda gathers herbs you've never seen her touch before, strong things, bitter things meant for fevers. No prayer can lift. The night draws out like thread, long and fragile. By morning the boy is gone. Not dead, gone. You find the door open, footprints leading back toward the trees. The woman doesn't wake until you tell her. She says nothing, doesn't cry. Just turns her face to the wall and keeps holding the sick man's hand. Matilda kneels beside her and presses a cloth to the man's head. "He needs sleep," she says softly, "and cool air." The woman nods silent. You leave them to it. Outside, snow begins to fall. That afternoon, you find a shape at the edge of the hill. The boy, curled beside the cairn, arms around his knees, eyes wide open. Frozen stiff, you kneel beside him. There are no marks, no wounds, just fear and frost. Aldrich helps you carry him back. You don't tell the woman. You let her have her quiet hour. You bury the boy behind the yews beneath the standing stones. Matilda leaves thyme and sage. Ina weaves a thread of wool around the marker stone. The grave is shallow, but the silence is deep. The man doesn't speak for 2 days. He drinks water, takes broth, but his eyes remain clouded like someone seeing a different world. On the 3rd day, he coughs. Dry rasping, but not blooded. You see hope in Matilda's eyes, but not in Ina's. Ina watches with a healer's heart, which means she watches for endings too. That night, the woman dreams aloud. She murmurs names, sings a hymn in broken Latin, and says one word that makes Matilda go still. Reckoning. You hear it too. You both glance toward the window. No lights beyond the trees, but something feels closer now. Not the plague, but the end of something. In the morning, the man speaks. His voice is paper thin, but it carries. "Where are we?" "Nowhere," Aldrich replies. The man chuckles, then groans. "Fitting." Matilda brings him water. He sips, then says, "Westmere fell, but not to the sickness." You stop. Everyone listens. "It was the townsfolk," he says. They turned on each other. Some said it was mercy. Others called it vengeance. His eyes flicked to you. They called it cleansing. Burned the sick, then the well, then the chapel. And you, Aldrich asks, "I ran. I had a brother." He swallows. The boy. No one speaks. He lies back. "I'm tired," he says, and sleeps. That night you sit outside. The air is dry, the stars bright. Matilda joins you, wrapping her cloak tighter. "He won't last," she says. You nod. "But she might," you reply. "She will." You look at her. "Are we still running?" She considers it. Then, "No, we're holding ground now." The stars shift overhead. The frost sparkles faintly on the grass. You realize this hill has changed you, not just kept you alive. Changed you. At dawn, the man dies. Quietly, the woman doesn't weep. She holds his hand, then folds it across his chest. "He was kind," she says, "before the fear took him." Matilda wraps him in wool. You carry him to the cairn. He joins the others, not with ceremony, but with care. And care is enough. Later, you find the woman placing a stone in the fire pit. Not to burn, just to warm. She watches the flame rise, then says, "I think it'll stay." You nod. "There's work to be done," she adds. "Yes," you say, always. The children bring her broth. Matilda brings her rosemary. You bring her silence, and together you face the next dusk. Not with hope, but with hands ready. Winter comes in pieces, not a storm or a frost all at once, but a quiet claiming. First the ground stiffens, then the trees go bare, reluctant to drop their last curled leaves. Then one night the wind changes and everything falls silent, truly silent. Even the birds give up. You and Matilda mark the days by firelight and breath, by how long it takes water to freeze in the pail, and how deep the snow settles at the edge of the yard. The woman whose name you finally learn is Dea.th settles into the rhythm without fuss. She moves like someone who's already buried a life, and now walks only with the fragments. She keeps the fire going in the stable, lays time beneath the pallets, braids cord for new bindings. Never idle. There's no mourning left in her. Only presence. Sibby becomes quieter as the nights lengthen. You find her one evening beneath the stairs, turning the lucky stone over in her palm again and again. "Do you think it's true?" she asks softly. "What?" "That were the last ones." You crouch beside her. "No," you say. "I think we're just the ones who haven't been found yet." She nods, uncertain whether that's comfort or warning. Matilda says the plague is like fire, she says, that it burns itself out. "It does," you say, "but fire still leaves ash." She places the stone on the floor, then leans her head against your shoulder. On the winter solstice, Ina lights 3 candles, one for the dead, one for the living, and one for those who have no one to remember them. You each stand in silence. The wind outside howls like a voice looking for a body. You don't pray. You just remember. Faces, names, hands you held, paths you left behind, the places you didn't bury, and the places that buried you. Later, Matilda takes your hand. She leads you beyond the standing stones, up the ridge behind the house where the snow is untouched. She stops beneath a rowan tree, its branches heavy with frost. "This place feels like it belongs to us now," she says. You nod. "But we don't belong to it," she adds. You look at her uncertain. "I want to walk again," she says. "Not to flee, not to hide, just to move." You wait. Not now, not yet, but one day, when the thaw comes. You press your forehead to hers. The wind sighs through the tree above, and for the first time you imagine a future not shaped like a wound. Spring arrives like something forgotten. At first, it's just the drip of melted snow from the eaves, then the return of moss to the stones, then suddenly buds on the hawthorn. The ground softens beneath your boots. Aldrich turns the soil in the old garden plot. Aldith finds wild chervil near the stream. Even Ina smiles once when the goat births 2 kids at dawn. Matilda hums again, not the sad tune of last year. Something new. You don't ask what it is. You just listen. One day a crow lands on the chimney. It tilts its head, watching you, then flies off to the east. You wonder if it saw something, or someone. By the time the bluebells bloom, you've built a second storehouse. You fixed the roof on the chicken coop. You've written a list of things you'll plant: leeks, barley, beans. You've made space for more. Because one morning, footsteps return. Not fevered, not desperate, just hungry. A family of 3 tired, thin, cautious. You recognize the look in their eyes. It's the look you wore when you arrived. You give them broth, a blanket, and no questions. Aldrich watches, then nods. The cairn grows, but not always with death. Now it holds other things, stones from far places, carvings, woven threads, a child's doll, offerings not graves, memories not losses, a way to remember the road without having to walk it again. You no longer dream of bells, not often, but once one last time you hear them faint in your sleep, not mournful, not warning, just distant, familiar. You wake with tears in your eyes, and Matilda beside you, still breathing. The hill remains, not untouched, but held, like a memory you choose to keep. The plague doesn't vanish. It never truly does, but it no longer chases you. It no longer owns you. One day, years from now, a traveler will arrive. They'll ask what this place is. You'll smile and say, it has no name. And Matilda will say, but it has people. The traveler will look around at the herbs drying, the children laughing, the stream bubbling through the trees, and they'll understand. They'll place a stone on the cairn and stay for supper, and the world will begin again, quietly.